God of War Ragnarok is coming out in just 2 weeks, so now is the perfect time to talk about everything that we know. Warning, in this video there are spoilers for God of War 2018, so be warned. But if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe for more gaming news, info, and reviews. To kick off everything that we know, let's start with the story. We know that the game takes place 3 years after the first game, and we can clearly see that due to how tall Atreus is and how much older he looks in general. We also know that we're going to be fighting people like Thor, Freya, because, we messed up in the last game, and even new enemy types, which all look amazing, by the way. The main goal of this is, well, of Atreus at least, seems to be preventing Ragnarok. If you don't know what Ragnarok is, it's basically this huge apocalypse in Norse mythology that killed a bunch of gods and had a lot of natural disasters and just chaos in general. I mean, you basically see what we're fighting. The game is likely to be around 30 hours, which is a pretty nice length for a game like this, and the fact that we can go to all 9 realms in this game is amazing. And of course, it's going to be side quests, missions, and things like that. And based off what we see, the realms visually look pretty good too. And we also know that this is going to be the last game in the Norse saga for God of War, so we know that the ending is going to be something crazy at least. Now let's go a little more into depth about the combat. The combat looks great, as we can see. We have the Leviathan axe back and the Blades of Chaos as well. We see like smash attacks with both weapons, picking up giant rocks and throwing them, grappling with them, and probably more in the game itself. I bet you guys didn't even know that there's going to be multiple shield types you can have in the game. And they all do different things and have different abilities. Like, for example, the Stonewall shield, it can't parry attacks, but instead it absorbs the damage and charges up, and when it's fully charged, you can slam the shield down. There's even more shields we'll get to see in the game as well, and I'm sure those are going to be great too. We also get to see a bunch of new abilities as well, including ones like the Flaming Blades of Chaos, which is this whiplash sort of move, or the Frost Awaken effect applied to enemies with the Leviathan axe, and pressing R1 with this executes a wide swing. This applies frost to all the enemies as well. And you actually initiate these moves by tapping triangle. Yeah, I didn't expect that either. Especially because in the last game, triangles was really only used for one thing, to call back the axe. So I actually like that they're using it for something more now. And another thing I noticed is how vertical the combat looks now. Honestly, it looks great. We see Kratos grappling up ledges with the Blades of Chaos and climbing up ledges to fight other enemies, which looks fire. We even see Atreus with new abilities like him riding the spirit animals here, and we also know that his arrows provide a little bit more stun here than in the last game. And he can even fight enemies on his own a little more, and we start to see him go off on his own a little more as well. You guys know what else Atreus can do on his own? Subscribe. If you're excited for God of War Ragnarok as he is, then subscribe, because I'll be reviewing that game as well, giving tips and tricks, and reviewing many other games in the future. We also know that the game supports up to 120 FPS. Yes, you heard that right, 120 frames per second. But this is only if your TV supports HDMI 2.1. And the rest of the modes are listed here. We have 4K, 30 FPS, 60 FPS locked, 4K 40 FPS, HDMI 2.1 required, or that beautiful magical 120 FPS with HDMI 2.1 required, of course. They have so many frame rate options, which is great, honestly. It's going to make the combat feel so much smoother, especially with all these new abilities they've added as well. And on the topic of video and looks, the game is confirmed to still be a one take as well. Basically meaning no loading screens like during the story, and it will all just be one shot. Once you get in, it doesn't really stop unless you die. Another thing we can take advantage of seeing is looking at the world. So far we can see a few different locations as well. We have a jungle, this volcano looking area, this temple looking place, this amazing space area, the dwarf realm, I'm pretty sure, and of course what looks to be Kratos' home, and this cave that we saw him in where Atreus was bringing something he hunted. Now this red and purple space type area thingy with the Valkyries looks really cool. But if you have to fight multiple Valkyries at the same time, I'll go ahead and not buy the game. Because if you guys ever fought them in God of War 2018, you know why. And with the new in-depth combat video, they released a lot of new information. They again confirmed things about the combat and enemy variety type. Like, for example, they added more enemy varieties. They actually heard our cries and introduced tons of new enemies. And even more bosses and mini bosses. Have you guys seen a group of people that's hardworking and great listeners in Santa Monica? Honestly, this makes me really happy hearing that they actually care about what we have to say. And there's even different finishers with each weapon for each enemy. Like the Leviathan Axe has different finishers on one certain enemy and then with another one. And then the Chaos Blade has a whole different animation. And same with the Fist and probably Shield as well. That just sounds so great, and I'm really happy that they actually listened and did something about it. If you guys are hyped too, make sure you subscribe because I'll be covering the game. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, once again, make sure to subscribe if you want to stay up to date with all gaming news and for reviews. The next one soon to be God of War Ragnarok. If you want to see my style of reviewing, check out this Gotham Knights review here. God of War Ragnarok launches November 9th, 2022. I'll see you all there. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe, stay hydrated, and stay loving. Love you all.